Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And if there's another word that I don't know about when it comes to the whole ladies and gentlemen thing, you folks too. So here we are, crack of dawn, next morning. We're looking at the new tank. Now I had put some seeded sponge filters down here because I saw some new tank syndrome cloud beginning to appear yesterday, and interestingly enough, that one little change has already helped clear things up. And now we're just lights on, so they're just waking up. But as I started the video, they're swimming around really nicely. Like you saw that. They're realizing they're in. They woke up in a new tank. But let's get in and have a closer look. What's going on here? Now, there's still some cloud here, and that's the smaller one. I think he looks better. This fish was, behavior-wise, showing me he was in trouble the last few days, which has had me concerned. I have been dosing food for them. That didn't seem to, he got a little better, like he's never had a problem with his appetite, but he was picking a spot. When they pick one spot and they just kind of hang out there most of the day, they're sulking and something's not right. Anyhow, he's not sulking anymore. He is also not as dark as he was in the other tank for the last several days. And what I do, I took him away from the plants. It's like he has a plant allergy or a weakness to plants. And then I start thinking to myself, I say, interesting. Because there's all these rules of keeping Discus out there. And as time goes on and I'm seeing things more and more, this situation's making me understand why people have, spiraled into these sort of paranoid rules. But at the same time, they probably thought they were buying super high-end Discus, so they must be perfect, right? They must be really good genetics. And if they're good genetics, then their immune systems must be superior. So if my fish are getting sick, I'm doing something wrong. That's what a human being, any honest individual, would think after, say, spending $1,100 on 8 fish and importing them from Germany because you want the best. But that's not what you end up with now, is it? because a lot of these domesticated fish have been heavily inbred, clearly, and these guys sort of, really focused on breeding to get, like, I don't have adults. I'm like probably a year away from seeing it, but they will grow, these fish will grow these long tails off the top. The males will grow long tails off the tips, and that's a very desirable feature. People want that, right? But they've also been selling fish with that genetic feature for decades, and so they've been working on keeping that gene strong that makes that feature. And well, the immune system gene apparently went out the window sometime along the way. And then maybe, for the last 15 or 20 years, people are buying these beautiful discus. They're gorgeous, but they get sick easy. And then you're like, well, it's because I've got gravel. It's because I got plants. It's because everything is in my tank, so let's remove it all. And then you got a glass bottom tank. And you know what? Things improve because, look, I dumped them in here. Things improved. Why? I took them away from the plants. What are the plants doing? I'm not sure. But it's not doing it to any of my other strains at all. They're thriving. Even the little babies I've just added recently, they're growing faster than anything I've ever seen. So my 90 gallon for all of them is dialed in like a boss. But these guys just can't live with plants. And so what happens? People develop the don't mix discus with plants rule. Why? Why? Because it's going to kill your fish. How could plants kill your fish? This is how discus keeping has turned into a paranoid art, I guess is the only way to put it, because people were dealing with this probably for the last 20 years. These genes have been floating around. These weak ass fish have been floating around. They're beautiful, they look great, and if you keep them like a bubble boy in a sterile environment, they might live, right? But then if you buy regular old normal discus that don't have these genetic flaws, they're resilient, they never get sick. You can put them beside these fish who are totally getting sick because they can smell a plant, and nothing will happen to the other discus. Nothing. And then you read, especially on the website that sells these things, don't mix our fish with other discus. It's almost like they're admitting their fish have weak genes. And why would they say such a thing? Well, of course, it's to prevent illness, because there might be quote unquote crossover infections and blah, 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 blah. So never mix any other discus with this particular brand, right? And it actually says that. Go look. And I mixed all kinds of discus with these guys. There was no problems. There was no crossover. Maybe I got incredibly lucky, but then I put a couple of plants in my tank and these things went south. And now I put them in a tank without plants and they're happy as can be again. And I bet you this cloudy eye looks better today, but it tends to wax and wane, so we'll see what happens. But right now, these two fish are behaving like happy discus. His behavior, the little guy, his behavior was fine upstairs, but you can see he's getting a little cloudy. His behavior was, I'm sick and I'm gonna die if you don't do something about it, which is why they're in this tank right now. So, yeah. So if you've owned these fish in the past and they all died on you, and you spend money on a high dollar strain like these, and then you never want to own them again because you had a bad experience, you just picked the wrong fish. Unfortunately, you got conned into buying weak genetic fish. That's it. That's my conclusion here. That's what I'm seeing here. And it's sort of encouraging because, I did it my way. And because I did it my way, and I'm very observant, I'm starting to see through the fog of war. And so these fish are not going back upstairs if they get better. And this tank is not going to have, this system is not going to have plants in it because of them. Because I don't want to kill things, Other people just call these fish, oh, they're a problem, kill them. I'm gonna keep them going as long as I can and try to give them an environment that suits them. Now, it's hard to run a tank without plants. Maybe if I put the plants in one of the barrels, we'll be okay. Maybe if I pick a different species of plants, they won't have this reaction. So it's swords upstairs right now. It was after the swords went in that this happened. I will not put swords in this system. And I'm going to wait a while before I put any sort of plant in here. And that's how we're going to play it by now. So I'm happy to see the water's, my white milky cloudiness is starting to go away. It's about 4 days since I put in the Tetra. So that's pretty good. Pretty good turnaround on that issue. With no UV deployed, and other than those sponge filters, no seeded media whatsoever. I just rolled this system for a couple weeks with a little bit of CChem stability, CChem stability. Yeah, so it's coming right along. It's certainly not dialed in. I would not call this a cycle system, but the ammonia levels are fine, and the morning colors are kind of screwing up that orange right now, but that's fine too. The pH is good, slightly higher than it was upstairs. So that's it with this tank. We'll take a quick look over here at the Oscars. Silver dollars. The light's just always, maybe I should just take the, no, this 24-hour mode doesn't let you take the brightness down. I'll do it this way. White fish get washed out by the light. Yeah, he's doing great. Loving his life. He's waiting for breakfast. We'll get him fed. And thanks for watching again. I just wanted to share my thoughts on this whole, culture of discus paranoia, and where I think it's coming from after, a year of keeping discus. We'll catch you on the next one.